show us the way, unlock the doors so we may have a key insight to what is going on. Give us the know-how to solve the needs of our people and the city. Tomorrow begins the first day of school for our children. Bestow your graces and blessings upon them and their teachers. Create a good, safe environment for them. Amen. Amen.
Clerk, call the roll.
Mayor Stafford.
Here.
Alderman Lincoln.
Here.
Alderman Sahaski.
Here.
Alderman Weston.
Here.
Alderman Sherman.
Here.
Alderman Thompson.
Here.
Alderman Woodward.
Here.
All present, Your Honor.
Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? I have one. We need to go to executive session on a matter of pending litigation. We'll do that after we go through the agenda. Item 1.
Resolved that the Common Council minutes of Common Council meetings held on August 11th and August 17th are hereby received, approved, and placed on file.
Do we hear a motion?
I'll move it.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item.
Whereas a quote of Syracuse sand and gravel has been awarded by the County of Oswego at a price of $5.50 per ton delivered, $4 per ton pickup by the City of Fulton, and has been extended for 1 year. Whereas the City of Fulton wishes to join the county in accepting the bid of Syracuse sand and gravel at a price of $4 per ton pickup by the city. Resolved that the City of Fulton hereby joins the County of Oswego in accepting the bid of Syracuse sand and gravel, and authorizes the Commissioner of Public Works to purchase the sand from time to time without further resolution of the Council.
This was on the agenda from last meeting and was tabled to get information as to the transport, and we found out that it is we transport it because we only have to go out to Granby Center to pick it up. We can do it cheaper that way.
I'll move it. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I want to thank Alderman Thompson for making us aware of that possibility of saving some money on that.
That when I talked to Commissioner Graham about that, he had already, of course, had that knowledge.
Yes.
And unfortunately, we didn't have that information as to where it was coming from. And that's why I explained to him that we needed to know where it was being transported from to make an informed decision on this. So next time we'll try to have all the information.
Do you know when the first meeting in October will be? Or is that the 5th? Get a calendar.
Yeah.
I don't have. Do you have a calendar with you?
Okay. First meeting in October?
October was only 3 items on the agenda.
What is the first meeting in October? Is that the 5th?
Resolved that the city clerk advertise for public hearing relative to a proposed local law which would revise the sewer use ordinance. The meeting would be on October 5th, 1999.
I'll offer that, Your Honor, but I'd like to make a request that when we have that hearing that we have someone here from the industrial pretreatment program to explain this. I read this letter that we got from the EPA, and I'm not, I think I understand what they're saying, but I'm not sure I do.
Yes.
You know, because this is going to affect the industrial permits the way I look at it.
We are going to put the motion together, or the local law together that they need.
That's going to be for review before the...
Yes, we'll
something
have
they can, okay.
The city attorney is going to work with BV&L to make sure that it's put together in a format that
But will they be able to pick it up and look at it before we have the hearing?
Yes.
Okay.
If it can't be available in time, we'd have to move the date.
Okay, and the other thing I was curious about is this intermunicipal agreement or whatever they're talking about here.
That's something I'm working on with the two towns, and it's been a slow process just getting responses
Yeah.
from them, but I am on top of that.
Well, the only thing I want to mention is for years that they wanted this, and when we redid the waste treatment plant back in '86 and '87, they weren't interested in paying for any of it. I mean the capital end of it, not just the part where you dump. And so that's something I'd like to keep in mind. If they buy into it, then, you know, everyone else paid a specific amount.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You have a motion?
And I
You have the motion.
Yeah.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Does anyone in the audience have any business to bring before the council? Yes, ma'am.
What the city of Fulton is doing about the property on South First Street. It's 758. There's been several complaints to the police department, to the dog catchers. There's dryers on the porch, beer bottles on the front lawn, parties every night, trash in the backyard, unregistered vehicles.
Those have been turned over to both, is that the one that you have?
Yes.
That has been referred to the Code Enforcement Department for the code violations. If you have continued penal law violations, you need to report those as they happen to the police department. It's very difficult to investigate complaints of that nature after the fact. We need,
They've been reported. The police have been there.
well, that's,
There's been several complaints. There's still unregistered vehicles in the backyard. They've been there since they've moved in.
well, that has to be done through code. Now, the process through code is once that has been determined that there are unregistered vehicles, the property owner is notified by certified mail that there's a violation and given a certain amount of time to rectify that. If it doesn't happen, then they have to file an accusatory instrument that's filed through the police department to the court. Once that happens, it is up to the court to issue a criminal summons that then goes down to the police department and is served upon the property owner. So all of this, unfortunately, can take some amount of time to occur. It's not something that can be done overnight because we cannot violate people's rights.
Can I say something?
Yes, ma'am.
These people have about 3 or 4 puppies. I'm sure they're unlicensed and haven't had shots. They have torn about 6 or 7 holes in my hedge, so they're not on the leash. They have probably a total of 7 dogs and about 5 cats.
Okay, has this damage been reported to the animal control officer?
I called the animal control lab twice last week and he didn't come. He's been there before. But I
You
told him
called last week twice and he didn't come?
he didn't come. Twice on Friday. These puppies, they're like
No.
8 weeks old.
Well, if the puppies are 8 weeks old, first of all, until they are 6 months old, they do not have to be vaccinated or licensed. The license requirement doesn't kick in until they're 6 months old.
But they're tearing they've scratched my car, the cats.
If they have come over on your property and done that, then your recourse is civil. What you need is to bring an action against the owners of the animals in small claims court here. You can come down and see the court clerk.
The whole thing is deplorable. The backyard is, and I'm living next to this.
Well, I have talked to the landlord of that property, and the landlord has advised me that she cannot do anything to control the way these people live. And I told her that I thought that was deplorable. That I would not rent to people like that.
I mean, we've gone to the county, the sheriff, and nobody seems to be able to do a thing about it.
Well, you cannot tell people how they are going to live. If they do something that offends you, then you have to take action. but you can't tell them how to live. You can't tell them they can't have dogs or cats, unfortunately.
Well,
You can't do that.
But I mean, there's something on it.
They live apparently by different standards than what we are used to. And probably that type person should not live within a city.
No, they belong out in the country.
I firmly agree with that. And if we can find a way to
Police are there all the time.
to talk with them and to
They take care of what's happening.
encourage them to move, we are trying to encourage them to move. That this is not a place where they should be living, because they do not want to live by the rules of the city.
There's no way to evict them.
That's the landlord.
That is up to the landlord.
The landlord has to do it.
The landlord has to evict them.
He's not going to do it as long as he's getting paid.
Right.
That is the problem that we have with some of our absentee landlords. Yes, it is a problem,
She won't do anything.
because some people can only see the dollar sign.
Now, she's one of them.
And if they had to live next door to some of these problems, I'm sure they would be in here complaining just the way you are.
Well, I put up with an awful lot all summer.
I'm sure that you have. I'm sure that you have.
I can go along. I've called the police department twice. I'm sure everybody around me has called them all. A lot.
If there are violations of law going on down there, you need to call the police department. You need to call them when it happens.
Well, I just get discouraged with the whole thing.
Well, I understand that, and if I lived under those circumstances, I would be discouraged also. Unfortunately, I have found, as much as I would like to be able to go and say, you people have to abide by these rules. You cannot do this. Not everything that we have is legislated, and every time we pass legislation, everybody loses a little bit more of their liberty and their rights.
When the red tag, the orange tags were still on the house, it was condemned.
It was taken care of before that. The code people went down and checked to see that, because I believe at that point there was an infestation.
There was there was code violations and everything else there. Brace Talents, I found out, I did a lot of chasing around the night they were moving in, because I did see the red tags on there, and Talents had forgotten to remove the tags. So it caused a lot of aggravation. I had the police department down there that night, and only to find out that Brace Talents had forgot to remove the tags.
We have advised both the police department and the code enforcement department to watch this property and take action on every violation that occurs. We want to make this, I'll be honest with you, we want to make it uncomfortable for these people to live here. And possibly they'll get the drift and find some other place to live.
It rolls off in like the rain.
One question. When we were changed to R1A down there down the street also, and we discussed it. When they changed us from R2 to R1A, how long is the status that a place like that can be vacant where it doesn't have to come up to code to R1A?
1 year.
1 year?
1 year.
Full year? Because they never meet that criteria. There's always a lot of people in and out of there, but it's short terms versus people.
Further comment on that property, though, I've invited, the council to go down and look at it. I know Bob's been down there twice, and he has seen it almost in its worst. I think this past weekend you were there, Sunday, and it was, when I got home from vacation, I have never seen such a mess in my life as it was Friday night when I got back. It almost looked as though they were doing it deliberately. It was bad. Garbage all over the front yard. I went in Monday morning, the first Monday after that weekend, to talk to Brace. Basically, as it stands right now, he said she's doing the court, so they're just waiting for that. So unfortunately, these things don't move fast enough. I personally would like to see the place leveled to the ground, but my car's not big enough. I need a backhoe.
That's the #1 complaint I get, is neighborhood complaints, very similar to this. And John Crook can tell you, that's what I've been doing all summer long, probably sometimes 4 or 5 a day. And it's, no, I understand. I'm well aware of what you can do and what you can't do. Usually I just go and talk to people, but sometimes it works and most of the time it don't.
And that is the problem that we have.
You can't legislate lifestyle.
No,
You can't do it. That's how it is.
They won't allow you to do that, unfortunately. We all find it appalling and very frustrating. It's frustrating for you, but it's also frustrating for us because we are trying to find a way to remedy the situation. And what we would like to do is just tell the landlord, look, evict the people, don't rent to anybody of this caliber. And they said, look, we've got mortgage payments we got to make. We're going to rent to whoever we can get. That's the bottom line.
I've been there 13 years, and those are the worst two families that have been in there.
Yeah, I believe it.
How many dogs does the one family have?
How many?
Yeah.
At least 6.
See, the problem here, too, is that you've got 6 dogs there in the backyard, and these people don't clean up after them. So basically, you've got a situation where you've got raw sewage in the backyard of this property. And in my opinion, that in itself is a health hazard.
There's something in the ordinance about that.
And
we've had people.
The landlord's not cleaning it up, and those tenants, surely they can't clean themselves, let alone clean up after a dog. So this, I've had it. When I can smell it across the street in my house, then I've got a problem with it too. These people are living right next door to it. I don't know why we can't move something quicker to get some of this stuff resolved. It's just very frustrating to have to wait for a court date.
Well,
rather than have the DPW or somebody go in there and clean that mess up. It's a mess.
What do you suggest?
Well,
I talked to City Court.
Society?
What?
If the animals are not being mistreated, first of all, we don't have a humane society. Second, if they're being treated right and they're being fed and watered.
Well, do we know that?
That's a whole different issue too. They're not.
What about Board of Health? Quite honestly, with so much, we have garbage pickups and whatnot. We're not supposed to put our garbage out before the night before, all that. You go by, I drive by it all the time, there's garbage all over in front of it.
There's literally, it's garbage.
If they're putting out, then they're supposed to be citing them for that. But again, they are given X amount of time. Because of the way the ordinance is written, and because the way the ordinance has to be written, you have to give everyone due process. So if you find a violation, you have to give them a certain amount of time to rectify the violation. You can't just go and arrest them for that. Unfortunately. But that is what we have to deal with. Do we need to shorten the time frame? Can we shorten the time frame? I don't know. It's something we need to review.
Part of the problem is, and I see a lot of it, is you have to send registered letters, and then the time starts from when you know they received the letter.
Once they sign.
And sometimes they dodge it for 2 or 3 weeks, So then you've got the waiting period, and most of the time the people that are habitual about it will go to 2 or 3 weeks, and then they know about a day or 2 before court time, they clean it up. They play the game. They do it with the grass, the weed ordinance, they do it with the garbage. Not all of them, but quite a few of them do. And I don't know what you're going to do to change it.
This is one of the frailties of a democracy,
Yep.
of a society that does not want to punish someone who is not guilty. So they're given this due process. And because of this, everyone else that's doing things right has to suffer. It's not a perfect system by any sense of the imagination, but I think it's the best system in the world right now. Do we need to fine-tune it? Yes. Do you want a government in here that just goes and because they don't like the looks of your property can throw you in jail? No, no one wants that. We want people to comply with the mores of our society. We have some that due to whatever fact, be it lack of training or coming from some other society, don't believe that that is important. They have to be taught. Now, how we're going to teach them is a problem. Sometimes there's a communications problem.
One more question. With the dog catcher employed by the city, is he only to pick up stray dogs or to pick up dogs who are unlicensed? Because those dogs are maltreated.
Right, well, he will, if he comes across unlicensed animals, he will cite the owners of the unlicensed animals, and that will require them to either come in and get a license, or usually come in and get a license and come before the judge and show the judge that they have a license for the animal.
So he cannot take the dogs from the owners if they're being cruel and inhumane to those dogs?
Yes,
Oh, he can?
yes, that can be done, but it has to be documented.
Oh, I got a whole videotape on that.
But it has to be documented, yes. If they are abusing the animals, and then if they are abusing animals, they could be liable for criminal charges. Is that possible?
A lot of it is neglect on the animals. My wife saw one of their dogs in the middle of the street she thought was dead, and I walked over and the thing jumped up. She says, well, it can't walk. I says, it can't walk because it's too busy scratching fleas. And that was the truth. They had so many fleas that the dog just spent the entire time standing in the middle of the street scratching fleas. So it's just, a lot of it's neglect.
And
These people don't have the capability of keeping, taking care of themselves, let alone
got
animals.
the copy of the letter that you sent to Chief Spawn in regards to that condition at that address. And it's been documented that there are problems, and we will continue to document. But what we need to do is, as complaints arise, you need to, especially criminal complaints, file a complaint with the police department. That is building a case. One complaint probably doesn't do anything. A half a dozen complaints shows a course of action. That's what we need to do. Is it going to be a quick fix? No. I'm sorry, it's not going to be. Can we fix it over the long term? I certainly hope so. We'll continue to try to do everything within our power to do it. Because I would not like to live under those conditions. Anyone else?
I had a question about the dumpsters being picked up across the street from me, Old Corral. I noted it with the police department 2 weeks ago. I talked about it a couple weeks before that. Spoke with you one time about it. Again today at 20 after 5 they were empty. I know it takes time. I just wanted to make you aware that that's where we're at.
I thank you for that information, because I personally called Waste Management last week. The operations manager was not there. I talked with a dispatcher. I explained the whole situation to him and asked that they change their schedule so they did not pick up at that early hour in the morning. He said he would take care of the situation. Apparently he did not. Tomorrow morning, I will call the operations manager and advise him that we are not happy with the way they're doing things. One of the things that the dispatcher said, apparently they have problems elsewhere. Because the first thing he said to me is, what ordinance are we violating? And I said, we're not violating ordinance right now. But if you don't want to go with the wishes of the people in the community, possibly we'll have an ordinance in place that says that you don't do this. So, apparently there was a breakdown of communications within their organization. I will continue to try to get in touch with their operations manager and let them know that we are not satisfied with the way they are doing business in our city.
On one other thing on the Golden Corral thing is I did talk to Mr. Ladd about a month ago, and we discussed a possible right turn only sign coming out of their parking lot on the 41, and he said he would be in favor of that. So if we have to do a traffic study or whatever.
You proposing a motion requesting a traffic study?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Right turn only. Do we have a second?
Yep, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Is there anyone else? Entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session.
I have the last 4 of my letters.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's all right. Well, obviously, as the council knows, I was tremendously impressed with the young people at Fairgrave School that spoke so well of our city that we are also so proud of. So these are the last 4 letters, and I think I've probably got more pleasure than anyone else on the council has. I know some of the aldermen have said that they wondered when I was going to stop, but it's officially tonight is the last 4 letters. So. This is by Hillary Marks, and it's Things I Like About Fulton. Fulton is a pretty cool place to live. There are many parks, businesses, and great places to eat. Fulton has a good school system with some truly awesome teachers. This is appropriate because school is starting tomorrow. One cool thing is how they have redone First Street downtown, the way it used to be. Fulton has some nice places to eat like the Lock, Mama Gina's, and Sweet Inspirations. Another really great thing about Fulton is Nestle's. Nestle's makes many chocolate products. In my opinion, Nestle's makes the best chocolate around. Fulton is a great place. Things I like about Fulton. This is by Nick Sleva. One thing I like about Fulton is the restaurants because there are different food places to pick from. Another thing I like about Fulton is the Oswego River because I think the Oswego River makes Fulton stand out. Downtown Fulton is nice to walk through and you can do lots of stuff. That's why I like Fulton. Fulton by Alexandria Marini. Fulton is a nice place where people can raise their kids. One of the nice things about Fulton is being outside in the summer. You can feel the clean air brushing up against your hair. You will smell the chocolate being made at Nestle's. You'll hear the wonderful sound of one bird chirping to another bird. When the sun sets, you will see its variety of colors and feel the grass as smooth and soft as a person's hair. The flowers are as beautiful as a smile. Even the bugs know that nothing will change. We're safe here. And the last one is by Tony Krupa. Fulton is a good place to live. In Fulton, people can walk to stores, take walks in the parks, or if you're just plain hungry, you can walk to a restaurant. Every once in a while, new things are built in Fulton to make it more exciting. The 2 bridges built in Fulton allow you to ride bikes, rollerblade, or just get some exercise. There are many activities in Fulton that the whole family can enjoy at places like the Bailu, the YMCA, and the Lakeview Lanes. You can also visit the Kmart Plaza for a little shopping. If you like reading, there's the Fulton Public Library within walking distance. Fulton has a variety of places to enjoy. The Fulton Speedway is one of the many attractions. Fulton has many things to keep you occupied. So once again, I thank the students of Fairgrave, the administration of Fairgrave, the Fulton Patriot for producing this supplement and giving me the opportunity to read some letters. Thanks.
Thank you. Now, entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session.
I'd like to move that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.